Meanwhile, voting is underway in Taiwan today for the presidential and parliamentary elections. Over 17,000 polling stations across Taiwan opened the doors earlier this morning at 8 a.m. and voting will go on till 4 p.m. later this day, local time in Taiwan. While the polls have been eclipsed by the East Asian island's bristling relationship with China, the key issue in this particular election is how close the self-ruled island will be with its giant neighbor China. The vote, of course, will send ripples far beyond the borders, with the two presidential rivals laying out very different views of Taiwan's future. Now, here's a quick overview of the contenders. Tsai Ing-wen is the incumbent president who heads the Democratic Progressive Party, which favors an independent Taiwan. Tsai Ing-wen was first elected in 2016 as the president of Taiwan, along with a majority in Taiwan's legislature that's called the WION. Now, Tsai Ing-wen, in her first tenure, tried to steer Taiwan further away from China's orbit. And challenging her in this election is Han Kuo-yu of the Kuomintang Party, which traditionally favors warmer ties with China. Now, Han favors a closer economic and cultural relationship with Beijing and also sees a less adversarial relationship with mainland China to secure Taiwan's economy in the long term. So let's now hear President Tsai Ing-wen outrightly defying the idea of one country, two systems.
香港的年轻人用他们的生命跟血泪为我们示范，一国两制不可行。明天换我们的台湾的年轻人为他们示范，民主自由的价值会克服一切困难的。
Now, Taiwan is the world's 21st largest economy, but ever since 1949, when the Civil War ended, the Chinese Communist Party has considered Taiwan to be a mutinous breakaway province that must be reunited with China, even if by force if necessary. Now, this year, about 650 candidates from 43 different political parties are seeking to fill in 113 seats in the legislature, and the counting will begin when the polling ends later this evening. And we also earlier spoke with our correspondent Grace Lee, who's been tracking the developments very closely for us and has sent us this report.
Yes, as I mentioned, there is a sort of divide, almost a generational divide between the younger folks who want to choose Tsai Ing-wen as to continue to be their president because of how hardline she's been against China and how her rhetoric largely points to, trying to protect Taiwan against China, especially as there are some looming threats from the mainland over the past couple of years. Last year, President Xi Jinping said that Beijing might use force to take Taiwan if that's necessary. Of course, he's leaning towards the more peaceful one country, two systems approach. But, of course, that is also not a favorable option for Taiwanese voters because they're seeing, like you mentioned, what's happening in Hong Kong with the protests. One country, two systems is the rule that Hong Kong is governed under. And they certainly don't want those kinds of protests happening here. On the other hand, the other candidate, Han Kuo-yu, is the more favorable option for the older generation who don't mind having a more relaxed and closer relationship with China, but that's exactly what's been driving the younger generation away. They want to continue enjoying the freedoms that they've been enjoying here in Taiwan, and of course, the strong rhetoric from China has only pushed them away further.